Okay, so here we are again for the second session of ICH-GCP guidelines, and we were looking into, so we have seen three sections by far, and our section 4 is investigators responsibility. So there is a long list of investigators responsibility, hence we stopped it in between, and the second in this session we'll resume back from investigators responsibility. So the further add-on to his responsibility is he should ensure the accuracy, completeness, legibility, timelessness of data to sponsorer in CRF. So can anybody tell me the full form of CRF, since we have talked about it yesterday a lot many times? You can type it in the chat box. The full form of CRF. Please don't go ahead and Google it and tell me. Anybody? Samruddhi? The full form? Yes. Case report form? Yes. Yes. Good. Sumedha, Pratibha, and Geeta. Yes. Yes, the full form of CRF is case report form. Sometimes it once the study is completed, we can also call it as case report file. Okay, for individual subjects. So this is a document which is very important, which has all the information about the subjects, their visits, their blood sampling, their eating, and etc. etc. Everything they have. When did they logged into our system? When did they came to our facility, and all the details of every minute detail related to subject and his study related data will be mentioned in the CRF. So this becomes a very important document. Hence the accuracy, the investigator has to ensure the accuracy, completeness, legibility, timelessness of the data of CRF, okay, which he will be transferring to the sponsor or the regulatory authorities. Then correction in CRF should be signed and dated. If there is any correction in the CRF, it has to be signed and it has to be dated. So over here, in clinical research field, in pharmaceutical company, in any public testing lab that you'll be working in, the signature and the date holds a lot more importance. It holds a very big value, because this is something it's a kind of a verification. It's kind of a authentication of the data that somebody has summarized it, or this particular thing was wrong and now it has been corrected, and hence we are signing and dating it. Okay, so maintain the trial related documents. It's also the responsibility of investigator. Then financial agreements in place. He has to keep the financial agreements in the place. Access to records by monitor, regulatory agency or auditors, who has to make sure that he is giving the access to the records who have come to the facility for monitoring purpose, or it could be a regulatory agency, or it could be auditors who are visiting your facility. So you have to make sure that he has to make sure that he is giving the access to all this sort of data. Then progress report to IRP. So every time that clinical trial is going ahead, the investigator has to make sure that he is providing them with the interim report of that clinical trial. So by far, how much we have reached, how many phases we have crossed, and what is the how much time in a phase 1 we have crossed, and what are the updates by far. Okay. Then moving on further, the serious adverse event reporting. So serious adverse event should be reported immediately to the sponsor and timely as required to IRB and regulatory agency. This is the important role of the investigator, and it is an important role of the sponsorer also. Okay, so when a sponsorer is there for multi-center trial, okay, so if in one of the centers, the principal investigator reports to the sponsor that at my site, I have a serious adverse event, then it becomes the responsibility of the sponsor to tell other site's principal investigator that at this particular site, we have got one serious adverse event or whatsoever adverse events, and then accordingly you will be further you will be proceeding with the trial. So first responsibility comes to the investigator only, because he is the person who is available at the facility 24/7, or he'll be who will be available and responsible for that particular clinical trial, because principal investigator is been assigned by the sponsorer only. Okay, so what is when did the serious adverse event happen and what was it exactly is mainly known by investigator, who then reports to the sponsorer. And if it's a multi-center trial, then it becomes sponsorer's responsibility to tell other centers principal investigator, and then accordingly to IRB and IEC. Deaths, if there are any, are to be reported as per requirement. That is also the duty of investigator. Then SE, any untoward medical occurrence that at any dose result in death. What is SAE? That is what they have mentioned. So any untoward medical condition that at any dose can result in a death, sorry, is life-threatening, requires inpatient hospitalization or prolongation of existing hospitalization, results in persistent or significant disability or incapacity, or is a congenital anomaly or birth defect. So if any of this is happening in your clinical trial, it will be recorded as what? Serious adverse event. Okay. Then furthermore, to investigator's responsibility, he should inform the subject about the investigational drug, or if there is any adverse event or something like that. So he should be the one who is going to inform to the subject. He should assure the therapy and the follow-up. Okay. Then he should inform the regulatory authorities as well. Means like report. This is in continuation with the reporting of a serious adverse event only. Okay. So investigator has to inform to the subject. He has to assure the therapy and the follow-up for that particular serious adverse event which happened to a subject. Then he should inform regulatory authorities. He should inform sponsor and IRB with explanation, and upon completion should inform institution, IRB and regulatory authorities with a summary of trials outcome. So what all happened in this particular clinical trial, whether it went out successfully, whether these many adverse events happened, these many serious adverse events happened, then how did you tackle that, and what was your end result of the whole clinical trial? That all he has to report it to regulatory authorities, IRB or institution. So this was it about investigator's responsibility. So there are many things on his list. So he is the prime most important person in a clinical trial. Okay. So investigator has many things to manage along with the sponsor. Okay. So sponsorer, by far we know he is an individual, company or institution or organization which takes responsibility for initiation, management and financing of a clinical trial. So implementing and maintaining QA/QC system with the written SOPs to ensure the GCP is compliant. Okay? So all the clinical trials are taking place with the help of what? Good clinical practices. When we say GCP compliance, that means we are following up all the guidelines that are mentioned in the good clinical practices. Then securing agreements from all the sides for monitoring, auditing and inspection. Then QC of the data, quality control of the data handling and payment agreements. Then at a clinical research organization, a person or an organization what is it? What do you mean by CRO? So CRO is a person or an organization, it could be commercial, academic or other, contracted by sponsor to perform one or more of the sponsor's trials related to duties and the functions. So that is the definition of clinical research organization. Sponsor may transfer all or some duties to CRO. Ultimate responsibility to quality lies with the sponsor. So who is taking care of the quality control and quality assurance in the clinical trial? It is the sponsor who is taking the responsibility of QA and QC system. Okay. Then documents of all duty delegations are required to be given by sponsor. That is what I have told you before as well. Then sponsor responsibility further continuing, he also has to look into the trial design, trial management, data handling, investigator selection, Financing, submission to regulatory authorities, confirmation of review by IRBs, information on investigational product, manufacturing, labeling, packaging, and coding of the product, safety evaluation also be to be monitored by sponsorer. Monitoring, the act of overseeing. So what do you mean by monitoring is written over here. When generally you'll be monitoring a site, clinical trial site, whether they are taking care of the guidelines or not, or whether they are adhering to the guidelines or not, and accordingly they are conducting the trial or not. That is what they will be looking into. So that is what is monitoring, and monitoring is the most important job of a sponsor. Okay. So protocol and amendments, documents describing all aspects of the study, well designed and thoroughly considered, well structured and complete. So along with the investigator, it becomes sponsor responsibility also to make sure that all these protocol amendment documents are well designed, well structured, and they are complete. Then components of the protocol design and the amendment, that is what they have mentioned over here, which we have seen in detail also, but we'll just go through it for touch's sake. General information, objective and justification. So this is the component of the protocol. Okay. Objectives and the justification, ethical consideration, study design, inclusion, exclusion, and withdrawal of the subject, handling of the product, and assessment of efficacy, assessment of safety, statistics, data handling and management, quality control and quality assurance, finance and insurance, publication policy, evaluation, and supplementaries and appendices. So these are all the content of protocol that we need. And we have also seen a template of a protocol in which we have seen all this data, how it is included and what exactly you should be writing in the protocol. So general information is protocol title, so maybe we'll not go in detail of this protocol writing, but this is what we have seen. And in ICH-GCP guidelines, when they are giving you these guidelines, what they are making sure over here, they are making sure that in what way you're writing that particular protocol, in what way an investigator is handling his responsibility, in what way the sponsor is handling his responsibility, and that those guidelines are given in this ICH-GCP document. And we have seen the details about each of this document by far. Because when I started teaching you guys about clinical trials, as the things I was teaching, I went into details of it. So I just want to make sure by telling you this ICH-GCP guideline that how the guidelines are actually mentioned, in what section, what thing comes. So section C completely is, section 6 is about protocol and amendments. Okay. So I'm very sorry. So section 1 was about the, I think, the glossary. Section 2 was about the, let's see what it was. Anybody can remember? Principles of GCP. Section 3 was about EC and IRB's responsibility. Section 4 is about investigators' responsibility. Section 5 is about sponsor's responsibility. And then section 6 talks about protocol and amendment. Okay. So section, hence they have given in detail in this particular slide or further slides, like what exactly should be there in your protocol and amendment design. Okay. So now I think this can make your idea very clear, like how exactly you should be writing the protocol if you have an hypothesis in your mind. Okay. Study hypothesis, I mean to say. So I'm not going to talk in detail about this. What do you mean by protocol? So what comes under the information of general information in a protocol? Then what comes under the objective and justification? What do you mean by ethical consideration? What do you mean by study design? Okay. Then inclusion exclusion criteria. We have seen inclusion exclusion criteria in detail. Then how will you handle the product? Then efficacy of the assessment, safety of the assessment, then statistic, how will you handle the data statistically, what exactly statistical strategy you will use to get the data outcome, then data management, QC/QA, then finance and insurance, and etc. So this all we have seen in detail when we learned about the protocol design, right? So this is section 6 of ICH-GCP. What does the section 7 talks about? The section 7 talks about investigational brochure. So investigational brochure uh, is something that we have seen. It's a compilation of the clinical and non-clinical data on the investigational product that are relevant to the study of the product in human products or products in humans. So this, in this, it is provided with investigators and others, provide the investigators and other involved in the trial with the information to facilitate their understanding of the rationale for or and their compliance with many key features of the protocol, such as dose frequency, interval methods of the administration, and safety monitoring of the procedure. So investigators brochure will be completely talking about the investigational drug, and accordingly it will facilitate the understanding, better understanding of this product, in order to make sure that it is safe, what dose frequency you can give, what dose amount you can give, how many intervals you can choose for giving the dose to a subject. That is what it will make sure that it will have in data in that respect. So investigators brochure is very important. So I don't think so we should read in detail what does it have. So section 7 investigators brochure, all these details we have already seen, so this is just kind of a revision, so I will not go through this slide. We can move on to what all it should include. This will briefly revise your idea of investigators brochure. So it has first title page, then it has confidentiality statement, then it has table of contents, then it has summary of the investigational product, then introduction, physicochemical and pharmaceutical properties and formulation, then non-clinical studies, then effect in the humans, and summary of the data and guidance for the investigator. So this is all information. This is the kind of information that investigators brochure should contain. Then moving on to the section 8. Okay, so what does the section 8 has? So it has essential documents for the conduct of a clinical trial. The documents which individually and collectively permit the evaluation of the conduct of a trial and the quality of the data produced will be called as what? Essential documents for the conduct of the good clinical practices, good clinical trial. So these documents serve to demonstrate the compliance of the investigator, sponsorer, and monitor with the standards of GCP and with all applicable regulatory requirements. Okay. So various documents are grouped in this three section according to the stage of clinical trial during which they will normally be generated. So before the clinical phase of the trial commences. So there are some set of documentation which you need to have with you. They are very essential. So those documents will be called as before the clinical phase of the trial commences. Then during the clinical conduct of the trial, so there are some documents which you will need to make sure that you have with you, or they need to be produced and keep and track of. So those will be called as during the clinical trial conduct and after completion or termination of the trial. So these at these three phases, you will need some kind of a documentation, and those documentation will be known as what? Essential documents for the conduct of a clinical trial. So trial master file, PMF. Okay, so trial master file should be established at the beginning of the trial and both at the investigator or institution side and at the sponsor's office. So trial master file, which include all the essential data which you require before you start the trial or during. So for the whole of the study, there is one big document that is made that will be called as your trial master file. Okay. So, but for this particular clinical trial, we have a master file which will include all the information of everything that happened during that trial will be called as trial master file. And it should be there with the investigator, institution, and also with the sponsor. A final closeout of a trial can only be done when the monitor has reviewed both investigator or institution and sponsorer's file and confirmed that all necessary documents are there in the file appropriately. Okay, so final closeout of the trial will be done only after the data is been reviewed by a regulatory authority, both at the investigator site and also at the sponsorer site. So there could be a possibility that a sponsorer might have a set of a data extra than compared to the that of investigation, because sponsorer has lot many things dealing with the finances. Okay, any or all of the documents addressed in this guideline may be subjected to or should be available for audit by sponsorers auditor and inspection by the regulatory authorities. So at any given point of time, if there is an audit, you have to make sure, the investigator, the sponsor has to make sure that these documents are available at any given point of time for the auditing purposes. Okay. So this was it about the essential documents that are required for the good clinical practices according to the ICH-GCP. Do we have any doubts by far in this session? If there are any, are there any doubts? You have to let me know. Are you guys sleeping while listening to my lecture? Okay, so this was a pretty much easy topic. It was not very difficult. Yeah, because we have seen the details of these files before. So let's talk for a few minutes. Have you guys done with? Are you guys done with your assignments? Have you guys started submitting it, turning it in? Musrat can talk to me. Yes or no?
No, ma'am. I have
When
just
is?
written it, but
Okay. So
Tuesday, next Tuesday.
okay, so everybody is in the process. So can we do a quiz on Monday? Are you guys ready?
On which topic?
Any topic that we have learned by far. Mostly it will be GCP related. It would be same as that of we had last time. Mostly I will ask for MCQs only. So intermittently, I'll have to check on the things that whether you guys are understanding or not, which I can do best through quizzing you guys intermittently. Since
Okay,
I also
ma'am. No
have to,
problem.
since I also have to generate an interim report of your assessment.
Yes,
so
right.
uh, I guess either we can do it on Tuesday. So it's up to you. You guys tell me if you guys want it on Monday or you guys want it on Tuesday or
Ma'am, ask other people too.
means like, yeah, whatever Musrat will tell me will be final decision. So other people, if they have any doubts in this, can talk to me. Where is Akash? I don't see him for the lecture. There are always 2 or 3 students missing. Varad only told me that Varad is moving to Gujarat, so he will not be attending the session uh, for 1 day or two because he is into transit and he has to shift his house and etc. So, how about I can't see Shraddha also. Shraddha is there. Dhanashri is very quiet this day. She doesn't talk much. So you guys have to tell me you guys want to do the quiz on the Tuesday or you guys want to do it on the Monday.
Ma'am,
And we can
Tuesday,
do.
I guess.
You can tell me the topic. By far, हमने जितना भी yes, see, if I talk about protocol design, then I can make 50 questions of protocol design. So we will select only one topic. So that which topic you guys want to select, you guys can tell me. Then accordingly, I will quiz you.
Okay, ma'am. We will know, let you know.
Just let me know, but you have to let me know by today evening or at least by tomorrow morning. Otherwise, I will let you know which topic I will be quizzing on. Okay?
Okay, okay,
And it
then.
will be it will be pure MCQ, don't worry. And I think following after me, Kalyani ma'am will also quiz you guys for maybe next day or after 2 days according to your this thing. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. One more thing I was thinking of is there is one topic remaining in this ethical issues guidelines of ours, ethical issues topic. So that is about animal ethics. Okay. So what I was thinking is I can group you people into, okay, according to the roll number or whatever. So on that particular topic, two people can do the presentation, and we'll do the presentation online virtually. Everybody should, because that is how we had done for the part 2 as well in the during the lockdown. Okay. So that is a very small topic. For example, I can assign 6 students only, means एक topic दो बच्चों में. तो वैसे 6 students अगर cover हो जाते हैं for this small topic, then after that, if there are any presentations to be done, which we will be doing, next set of students will be getting those topics. Okay? Are you guys fine with this? Because you guys will be presenting like the way me and Kalyani and I are presenting. Are you guys fine with the idea? Ketan, where are you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We are fine.
Okay. So it would be fun, I guess. It would give you also some goosebumps to take the experience of teaching online, how it is. So you will be basically teaching us those topics. So whatever it will be. So I just want the first 6 students roll numbers and their name, which either Musrat can submit to me. Chalega, Musrat?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
So first 6 students का मुझे roll number दे दो, and we will do this. We will give you enough of time to prepare and whatever, since we have ample of time. So during our morning sessions or whatever, we will be doing this activity. ठीक है? Okay. There are any doubts? Are there any doubts with anything regarding anything by far?
No,
अगर नहीं है, okay, चलेगा. Then I will be posting this content on the Google Classroom, and I'll be posting yesterday's video as well. Second video I did not post about the Maxman Gilbert DNA sequencing, so I'll be doing that. I'll be posting today's lectures as well. Okay. So you guys take care, and I'm signing off for now. And Kalyani ma'am will be taking your session at 2:15, or maybe I can ask her to start early because she has some work after 3 o'clock. Okay, since I'm done early. Okay, so if she is messaging you, please keep an eye on your mobiles. Okay. Okay, then I'm
Okay, ma'am.
signing off. Yes. Okay. Bye.